Hey folks, this clip is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com and type in promo code VOLS, that's VOLS, at checkout to fill your freezer with enough gourmet food to keep your cookouts going strong into the fall. That is omahasteaks.com, promo code VOLS. All right, we are now joined by somebody who so many people in our comments have requested that we get on this show. And I think we have a lot of overlapping listeners, and it's great to kind of meet a comrade here in the Tennessee YouTube space. We have the lead man on the Talkin Vols network, Boogie Bentley, is with us right now. Boogie, what is up, man?
What's going on, guys? Good to be here. Yeah, there's the crossover, man. Like, you can't get enough content. These guys out there, these fans love content, and they will bounce from channel to channel to channel, so they can't get enough of it. So, yeah, let's get together, let's hang out, let's talk some Tennessee football.
Yeah, this should be great. And we'll just start off with this. You're a fan like us. I mean, this entire season is unreal. How number one versus number two against Georgia this week? Just what's your just general feeling? Because I still have a hard time grasping it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what a ride. What a ride, right? I mean, Josh Heupel comes in a little under 2 years ago, and we're at rock bottom. Man, I remember having the live streams, the shows, the videos, talking about it, and we were at rock bottom. We're all gathered together talking about, all right, this is going to be, we got to realize where we're at, guys. It's going to be 5 to 6 years of rebuild. We got to be patient. Josh Heupel gets hired. Half the fan base is not happy with the hire. And then we see some progress last year, right? He goes and wins 7 games. We're like, okay, we didn't really expect this. And you go into year 2 thinking, can he get 8, 9 wins? That's going to be a good, solid year. Continue to build recruiting. Of course, Nico commits. That's huge. You talk about riding that wave. July, what a huge month July was for recruiting. But then you get into the season, and now here we are, like you just said, Charlie, number 1 versus number 2. And at the time of this recording, I know the world of the internet, the way it works. The college football playoff rankings are out now, but they're not at the time of this recording. I'm going to go ahead and bet Tennessee's number 1. Tennessee deserves to be at the top. Their resume, 5 wins over top 25 opponents. Just what Josh Heupel has been able to do. And I'm not insulting kids. I'm not, I love the fact that he embraced this football team. But you're going into a game with Georgia. When you look on paper, they got way more talent. They got way more 5 stars. But something about this team, this Josh Heupel football team, it reminds me of Tony Vitello's team 2 years ago, where they're just a scrappy bunch and they find a way to go win games. And I think they're gonna go compete on Saturday. I think this team truly believes they're gonna go beat Georgia.
There's a conversation I've kind of been having. Me and Charlie have had it. I've had it with myself at times. Was there a moment this year for you? I think we've all kind of had that moment. For me, it was the LSU game, I think, or really the Alabama game. But the LSU game is where I kind of felt like, hey, this team's actually pretty good. Because after they beat Florida, it was like, okay, Florida's down. Is Tennessee really a top 10 team? Are they really that good? Or did they just catch Florida on a down year? What was that moment for you where you were like, man, this team's for real?
It keeps changing, right? Going into the year, that Pitt game was going to be a big test for this football team. And we talked a lot about if you can get through September at 4-0, this team's going to set themselves up to go 8-4, 9-3, somewhere around in there. September was so big. So Pitt was big, and to go, win it in overtime, and you were tested on the road. And then people wanted to take that win away from Tennessee. Well, Pitt's not as good as we thought. And then kind of like you said with Florida, it was the same deal. But Pitt came in ranked 17th. Florida comes in ranked 20th. Tennessee still gets the job done. And I get it. It's not the same Florida. But that gets the monkey off of your back. It gets the monkey off your back with the streak. And then you go into LSU and you boat race them. You don't just beat them. You embarrass them. People talking about Death Valley. And there's this different view of each team, right, going into each game. Oh, Tennessee's not going to be able to do that against LSU. That LSU defense is going to stop them. And Tennessee goes down there and just destroys them. And so you come out of that with a little bit of confidence. Like you said, this team's pretty good. But do you still truly believe? And then you go beat Alabama, and you're going, wow, man, all the stars just aligned. We celebrate. We spent like a week celebrating that game. Nobody was talking about Tennessee Martin. And then even going into Kentucky. Zach, you just said it. LSU is where I really started to believe. But going into Kentucky, I'm like, man, oh, man, just what if? What if they lose to Kentucky? And then they just destroy and embarrass Kentucky. Now we're going into Georgia, and it's the same conversation. Well, is this team really good? Yes, they're good. They are good, and they're going to go compete on Saturday. They are for real. Tennessee is back.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's kind of the feeling that I think we all had. Seems like we're all similar age. The feeling we all had like in the early 2000s, like you went into a game with a team like Kentucky and South Carolina, and it's felt this way with Vanderbilt in perpetuity, but like with Kentucky and South Carolina, even back then, just all of them, you walked in, you were like, we're not losing to these guys. This is Tennessee, top 10. We're pissed off when we have a 10-win season, and it feels like that's coming back. And that Kentucky game is what sort of took me into that stratosphere where I went, these guys, they can't handle this. This is a whole different ball game. And that
Yep.
I was ecstatic to see that, because it's what I wanted. I didn't want to believe that like Kentucky could still come in here and do that. I want to get that back, that domination. And that's the feeling that has been missing for so long, that we took for granted, I think.
Yeah, we sell a T-shirt that says Kentucky's daddy. We sell that for a reason, because we own Kentucky. We are Kentucky's daddy. And it's this shift, right? You talk about the glory days, and I grew up in the late 90s with Al Wilsons and Peyton Mannings and T. Martins. You dominated teams like Kentucky and South Carolina. And then there was this shift, right? It used to get to late in the year, and Tennessee's playing South Carolina, and the casual fans are like, I'm not going to watch today. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to go hang out with my buddies because Tennessee's going to dominate. And then there's this shift, and it starts to be, oh, Tennessee's playing Alabama today. They have no shot, so I'm going to go fishing with my buddies. It's like there was this shift, right? And now we are getting back. We're getting back to that, where Tennessee is competing with the Alabamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, and dominating the teams like Kentucky. So it's good to be back where Tennessee belongs at the top.
That was my favorite thing about this past weekend. This Kentucky win. I mean, you got the Alabama game and the Florida game. Of course, those are great wins. But the way that they beat Kentucky, it might have been my favorite win of the year, because they went out there, they played Kentucky's game a little bit. They kind of ran it down Kentucky's throat after they talked trash all week about playing real football and who better prepares a quarterback for the NFL. They made Will Levis look like a undrafted free agent. I mean, just the way they completely dominated Kentucky playing their game at times. That to me was just it was a statement by the coaching staff saying, hey, we can beat you in a lot of different ways. So don't get caught up in tempo and gimmicky offense and all this.
Yeah, I think my favorite drive of that game, I think it was Tennessee's third drive. Their first drive, they scored. Second drive, kind of stalled out because they got behind the chains. And Kentucky did what they wanted to do, right? They ran it down Tennessee's throat and went and scored. And Tennessee answered, just like you said, Zach, playing Kentucky's style of football. They had a 15-play drive, and they ran the football 13 times. And Kentucky never scored again. That took their soul. That drive took their soul. And Tennessee's offense really didn't play at the elite level, and they still 44-6. Just domination. That's domination.
What did you think about the defensive performance that Tennessee gave on Saturday night? Because that was the other thing from that game, is that the defense is getting better. Obviously, Kentucky's not the same offensive firepower as Alabama or even Georgia this weekend. But man, that secondary, they were flying around. They had swagger. I mean, they're huge hits and stuff like that. Right there is what really gave me this feeling of this season could turn out to be a lot more special than we realize.
Yeah, they get that defense on Saturday against Georgia. Tennessee's going to win by 2 scores. They are going to beat Georgia. If that defense shows up, and yeah, it's not an elite offense, but still 205 total yards of offense. And then like Will Levis, the first rounder, right? First round, Will Levis, quarterback Jesus, 98 yards. 98 yards and 3 interceptions. But the difference is, like you said, that's secondary. And maybe Tennessee backed their way in, stumbled into finding their guy at corner with Danico Slaughter, a guy that at the beginning of the season, third-string safety, gets his first start at corner because Tank comes back last week and just balled out. Like, when's the last time we've seen a corner hit like that? I mean, just brought the fire. And he talks about it in the postgame. He's like, I'll play corner, but I really want to be in the box because I want to get physical and hit people. And he did it from the corner position. And he's responsible for 2 of those turnovers because the hit led to an interception for Juju Mitchell, and then he had the pick himself, just going up 50-50 ball, making plays. Turnage looked good on the opposite side. They get those guys dialed in at the corner position. Tank McCullough does what he can do. Trayvon Flowers and Tank McCullough, they are who they are, right? They're not going to magically get elite speed, but they played a lot of football for Tennessee. And that secondary shows up on Saturday. We may be celebrating another week after a Georgia win.
Yeah, you don't want to say it exactly like this, but you almost kind of go like, I give credit to that dude that busted into Jalen McCullough's apartment because it kind of gave Danico a chance to get in there, and now we've discovered he can be really effective.
They backed their way into it, man. Yeah. Backed their way into it.
Yeah, it's funny how things work like that. So even when things seem bad, it can end up being a blessing for you. But we won't make you predict the game. I'm sure you'll do that on your own channel, and we'll direct people over there to Talkin Vols. But can this defense do it? I mean, Brock Bowers, man, he's just a monster. They've only allowed 7 sacks all season. Can this defense do it, you think?
I don't know, man. It is such a big challenge. And when you sit down and just look at numbers, just look on paper at the comparisons. You know, Tennessee putting up 49 points a game, Georgia putting up 41 points a game. But then defensively, man, this Georgia defense is really good. And I think Tennessee's going to get theirs. They're going to go score points. But Tennessee just giving up 21 points a game. Rushing defense, Georgia, elite, 85.5 yards a game on the ground. Tennessee really good too. It's such an intriguing matchup, and you brought up a good point talking about Stetson Bennett, how many times he's been sacked. I think that could be what this game boils down to. Can Tennessee get home? Can they get Stetson Bennett to the ground? Because he's not this electric runner. Like, he's not going to go out there and wow you. He's not going to look like Bryce Young out there, you know, making guys miss, dancing around, looking like he's playing Madden. I mean, just dancing around back there for 20 seconds. But Stetson Bennett's only been sacked 7 times, but on the flip side, Hendon Hooker's only been sacked 12 times. But the difference is that Tennessee defense has 20 sacks on the season compared to Georgia's defense, which only has 10. And most of those come from linebacker. Some of them come from the defensive backs, but I think Georgia is they're gonna dial up pressure. They're gonna try to create confusion, bring different blitzes. But can Tennessee get home? Can Tennessee get Stetson Bennett on the ground? I think this Tennessee defense will be able to stop the run. The biggest matchup, you know, you mentioned Brock Bowers. That's the biggest problem for Tennessee. Who do they put on Bowers? Do they go somebody in that star position, kind of just follow Bowers around the field? But like I said, I think offensively, Tennessee's going to get theirs. We know what this offense is, right? Everybody knows what it is, but they can't stop it. You've got defensive masterminds like Nick Saban losing his mind because he has no clue how to stop it. They're going to spread you out wide. You can stack the box and stop the run. Guess what? We'll use an extension of the run game. That's what that is. Those little quick outs to the wide receivers, that is just an extension. That's basically a toss sweep. And you've got the field spread out so wide. But come on down and see what happens, because we'll hit Jalen Hyatt over the top. That's why Tennessee is going to get theirs. Can they stop Georgia's offense? They got to play clean football. You can't go out there on offense and shoot yourself in the foot. We talked about the Kentucky game, that second drive. They're like 1st and 25. You can't get behind the chains. If Tennessee takes care of business, they protect the ball, they're going to have a shot, man. They're going to have a shot. But I've preached it all year long. People want to come at me and say, Boogie, Georgia's not as good as we think. They're not as good. They're not that good. They want to point at Kent State and games like that. When the game's on the line, when it's Florida, when it's Oregon, when it counts, Georgia's the best football team in the country, and Tennessee better come to play. We're going to find out on Saturday. We can talk about when that moment was. Was it LSU? Was it Alabama? We're going to find out on Saturday, because Tennessee's going to play the best football team in the country, and they've got a shot. They go execute. They go take care of business. Spoiler alert, I already said it. I ain't picking Tennessee to lose under Josh Heupel until he goes out and loses a football game. So Tennessee's going to roll on Saturday.
Fall is in the air, and that means fall grilling with cookouts, tailgate parties, and so much more. Luckily, the flavor experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to savor all the flavors of fall with their mouthwatering assortments of perfectly aged steaks, ultra juicy burgers, and easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. And now is the perfect time to load up on all this incredible flavor and take advantage of 50% off site-wide by shopping their Friends and Family sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code Vols, that is VOLS, at checkout, and get $30 off your order. And guys, I've said it in these ads for weeks now. I've had all of the stuff from Omaha Steaks. I can't endorse it enough. Everything has been high quality. It comes right to your door, so easy and convenient, and I mean, most importantly, tasty. So I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. So don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and stock up today. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak. It's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. And don't forget to score that extra $30 off your order when you use Vols at checkout, VOLS. Omaha Steaks is perfect for those chilly and busy fall nights. You won't come close to getting this kind of quality at the grocery store. Visit omahasteaks.com. Promo code Vols at checkout. Minimum order may be required. Omaha Steaks.
It does feel like if Tennessee wins this game, it can be their, I mentioned it before, like 2019 when LSU beat Alabama. That was the moment that everyone was like, hey, this LSU team is is the team to beat for the championship. And if Tennessee beats Georgia, it feels like that's going to be the case when we're talking about the Vols. But how do you feel like the atmosphere is going to impact Tennessee? They played some road games. Pittsburgh was a pretty good environment for an ACC away game. LSU, they took the crowd out pretty early. It was a noon game. Didn't really have a big impact. Hell, it was mostly Tennessee fans in Baton Rouge. It appeared that day. How do you feel like this atmosphere? Because this is going to be the craziest atmosphere that a lot of these guys have probably played in. 3:30 game, Athens. It's the biggest game of the year for Georgia. They're going to be hyped up for it. Do you think it impacts Tennessee's offense and defense too much?
I mean, I think it could, but just the way they go fast, and there is some communication. They may have some communication issues. I think it will. I think it will. I think you're lying to yourself if you're saying, nah, Tennessee will be fine. They'll go out there. It's going to be hostile. Georgia hates Tennessee, and we hate them. I cannot stand Georgia. I hate their fan base. I hate their coaches. I hate Kirby Smart. I hate them all. Hate them. I cannot stand Georgia. They are, some people, do you hate Florida more, Alabama? I hate Georgia. They are the team that I absolutely despise more than anybody. It's going to be hostile. They're doing the blackout. They love that. That's going to get them fired up. Yeah, I think it could. It's going to be crucial for Tennessee to start fast. I'd like to see Tennessee get the ball first and go straight down the field and score. Maybe get a 3 and out, and let's just silence Athens. I think so, man. I think it will. It could possibly play an impact on the game. Tennessee's crowd played a huge impact in that Alabama win. Gigantic, enormous. So, yeah, it does make a difference.
That's one thing. You mentioned there about scoring fast. We talked about this on the live stream yesterday. I kind of think Kirby Smart's going to go out there and play that first drive, drop everybody into coverage, really try to take away a deep, quick strike to Jalen Hyatt, make Tennessee beat them on the ground, prove they can run the ball. I mean, how does Tennessee – I wonder, do they game plan for that? Do they have something up their sleeves? How do you see that first drive actually playing out?
Yeah, I could see that. And that's the beauty of the offense, though. Again, right, go ahead and drop 8. We'll run it down your throat. And Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, I really like the way Jalen Wright's been running the football lately. Very physical, hard-nosed. He struggled with ball security early. He's kind of cleaned that up a little bit. But this run game really gets going when Hendon Hooker's running the football, when you get the true read option going. But Josh Heupel, name one coach that's out-coached Josh Heupel since he's been at Tennessee. I'll wait. Nobody's outcoached him. He is doing more with less. And I know we're not sitting here talking about baseball, but it's the same deal, right? Tony Vitello comes in. Those players fed off of his energy. He did more with less. And then once you do that, once you show that you can do more with less and you start winning and recruits start coming in, that's when you really start to roll. And that's why Tony Vitello has a juggernaut over there with that baseball program. And it's the same thing with Josh Heupel. He's not been outcoached. I truly think he'll have a game plan ready. And maybe they drop 8. I don't know. I think Josh Heupel will have something up his sleeve to go score and score quick. Score early, score often.
And an interesting element that came up this morning right before we came on, Nolan Smith potentially out for the season. It's Georgia's sack leader, tackles for loss leader, like the number 4 tackler on the team, and a upperclassman leader for them out on that defense. I feel like it's sort of akin to Jalen McCullough being out. They're still going to be solid, but I mean, it's one of the best dudes you got back there. So that's another thing with just Tennessee's offense. I think they could.
Yeah, he's what? I think he has 3 sacks. They got 10 sacks on the year, and he's got 3 of those. That's huge.
Little, yeah. Like just after how good that defensive line was last year, I mean, that was probably one of the best college football defensive lines I've ever seen. And
I feel like teams are probably scheming up against Georgia, try to get the ball out as quick as possible,
sure.
And that's eliminated a lot of sacks, which is like what Ball State did to Tennessee early this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just a couple more for you here, and I don't even know. There's so much with this game to cover, and the stuff that I love talking about is almost like the mythos of this. If Tennessee wins this game, this is the biggest win for this program since when? I mean, like if you place this in the pantheon of Tennessee football, it's right at the top, right?
It has to be 98. I mean, it feels like it's crazy because we're like the biggest game since 98. Tennessee's been to the SEC championship since 98, but still this feels bigger. I don't have all the data in front of me. I think this might be the first time Tennessee and Georgia have ever faced off number 1, number 2. I mean,
it's only I found this. It is in the modern era of SC football. So since the divisions and the SEC championship game, it is only the third time a number 1 versus number 2 has played each other in the SEC period, and both of those other games were Alabama LSU.
It's just huge. Everybody's going to be tuning in. All the national media is talking about Tennessee. This will be the third game that Game Day's been at for that Tennessee's been a part of. It's huge, man. The environment. What Josh Heupel, man, I love the smile on his face when they beat Alabama. It's like each week, man, that dude is having the time of his life, and people want to talk about him going to the NFL, going back to Oklahoma. Josh Heupel loves it in Knoxville. We won that man over the Ole Miss game. And I'm not sitting here saying to throw mustard and golf balls and trash on the field, but when he saw the passion that this fan base brings, and then he's talked about it all year, he's like, man, the ball walk, what an electric atmosphere. And then the next week, ball walk bigger than I expected. The next week, UT Martin, he's talking about how big the ball walk is. This dude loves it in Knoxville. It's amazing what he's been able to do in less than 2 years. Just amazing.
It's crazy to me how he almost just sort of floats in the background still, though. Like he's not at all that Lane Kiffin. I'm on Twitter. I'm gonna make an ass of myself, frankly, with Kiffin. Like he just. We had some friends over for the Alabama game that like don't really know football that much. They're just there to hang out, and they were like, "Why do they just only show Nick Saban and they don't show Heupel?" And I was like, "Well, it's Nick Saban, but also I think Heupel would like it that way. He's not that dude at all who's out front."
Did you notice his reaction? And I said this a lot on my channel. His reaction when Alabama missed the field goal. There was no – Butch Jones would have been on his knees praying to God. He would have been like, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I'll do whatever you say, Lord. Just make this go miss. And Josh Heupel just immediately turns. 15 seconds on the clock. And he's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. Immediately. Like, he's that dude, man. He's that dude. What a guy. What a coach.
Speaking of that 15-second drive, I still cannot believe that happened. And I don't feel like Hendon Hooker gets enough love for what he did, because it is exactly what Patrick Mahomes did in the playoffs against the Buffalo Bills last season. He had 13 seconds, had to get 2 passes, get him in field goal range, no room for error. Hendon Hooker so composed. I mean, the way that he's developed, how refreshing is that to actually have quarterbacks at Tennessee that are getting better? Even Joe Milton looks better where we've seen him this year than what we saw last year.
Yeah, Joe Milton's going to be the leader of this football team next year. Don't doubt it. Don't at me. Don't come at me on Twitter. It's going to happen. And a lot of people are going to owe me apologies when it happens, because I've been saying it for a long time. But yeah, Hendon Hooker, man, like he's just cool, calm, collected. And I think that's who he is as a person, but it also comes from Josh Heupel. You know, like if you've got somebody that's a leader and they're cool, calm, and collected, it keeps you calm. You got a leader that has no idea what they're doing and they panic and they freak out. That's what you do. You just follow the leadership. And yeah, just a big time drive. One of those drives we're going to remember forever. We're going to remember that drive, that kick. We're going to remember it all for a long, long time. We're going to remember Jalen Hyatt. He made himself a legend in that Alabama game, and no matter what he does, he could never have another catch at Tennessee the rest of his career, and we will remember. He will be a legend for beating Alabama. But what about Brew McCoy on that drive? That's big boy football right there, going up and taking that. It reminded me of that was Jawan Jennings-esque, going up and just taking the football away. But everybody on that sideline in the coaching booth, everybody thought, we're going to get 2 completions, we're going to go kick a field goal, and we're going to celebrate and light up cigars. Everybody on that football team thought that's what was going to happen.
And even as a fan watching it, I was still like watching it back. I'm still in disbelief that it worked out and that it happened, because we've seen that situation for teams fail so many times. Usually that game would go into overtime with most teams. But in the moment when it was happening, I wasn't that surprised. I was just like, of course they went down the field. Of course they did it. Like I expected them to do that. They had plenty of time.
And it's kind of funny. The people that I just mentioned that were saying they were at that party, they were like, oh, well, I guess it's going to overtime. And me and the other Tennessee fans that were there were like, no. Just watch what this guy does. Yeah. Watch this. It's 15 seconds. That's all he needs.
Yeah, I went upstairs during a commercial to get a drink, and my wife's like, you don't think they're going to win, do you? And I was like, no way, they're not. I was like, been a heck of a run. And I go right back to the old battered Vols syndrome. I'm like, we gave it the old college try. And I was all deflated. And I'm about to walk out of the kitchen. I look back and I said, you know what? There's one guy that gives me confidence, and that's Josh Heupel. And then I walked out, and then there they go. They get the win. And I've been saying it since that Alabama game. There is a cure for battered Vol syndrome, and it's Josh Heupel. That's the cure for getting us over the – and we're still dealing with it. We can pretend it's gone. We had it going into the Kentucky game. We had it going into that game. we'll see how Georgia plays out. But I feel like I'm getting over. I feel like I'm getting over it.
Yeah, it is the thing that has plagued me. It's kind of my signature move. It's what I've become kind of known for, is that I'm like the tortured Tennessee fan. I've had a lot of people be like, "Oh, you remind me so much of myself, Charlie." It's
because we've all been through it. We've been through it.
Well, I mean, speaking of the battered ball syndrome, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit ago, what did you make? Like, what did you think when you saw Tony Romo in those NFL comments about Josh Heupel? Because that's something. I mean, that's been a big topic of conversation in the last 48 hours. Even though there's really nothing there, it's just kind of Romo, his opinion really on the matter. Jim Nantz kind of made it worse with his little comment. But how did you take it?
It's like Paul Feinbaum putting it out there, right, about Oklahoma. One person puts it out there, and then all of us content creators go make videos and articles and run with it and talk about it. I laughed. It went in one ear and out the other. I don't see it, and maybe I'm getting a little too confident because Josh Heupel. I'm like, everything's perfect. We're going to win every game. He's not going anywhere. I think Tennessee needs to lock him down. You know, I know he just got the raise. Pay the man. Like I said earlier, who's outcoached him this year? Nobody. Nick Saban didn't outcoach him. Nick Saban couldn't figure out what to do. We all know the ball's going to 11, and Nick Saban has no idea how to stop it. Pay him, make him the highest paid coach. I'd pay him more than Nick Saban. I don't care. We got the money. Pay him.
You want to talk about a battered ball syndrome moment? When they gave Josh Heupel that raise in week 2, and they had been working on it near the preseason, it just ended up falling that week when they got it completed. You know, I was like, why are we doing this? We did this with the idiots before. We've all seen this. And then it's to have a guy who's actually like delivering on that is, I mean, it's just another element of how he's just blasting through that, you know, psychological problem that we all have at this point.
Well, when it comes to Heupel and paying him, if he continues to have success, this is a conversation that's going to happen every year or two. I mean, it's happened with Nick Saban in the NFL and Texas and, you know, going back and all that. It's going to continue to be a thing, and that's a good thing. Like, I feel like that's a good thing. Like, you don't want to see him go anywhere, and I'm with you. I don't see the NFL thing at all for a multitude of reasons. And I think he truly loves college football. He loves the passion. He loves the fans, just stuff that you do not get in the NFL. But if you're going to have success, I mean, that's just part of the deal. It comes along with it.
Yeah, if people aren't trying to poach your coaches, then you're not winning. You're not being successful. Alex Golish is going to be a head coach sooner rather than later. Hopefully not after this year. Hopefully we get at least another year with him. Yeah. And I know it's Josh Heupel's offense, but there's still that continuity, that relationship. They built this thing together. Alex Golish is a great offensive mind. But, if they're not coming after your coaches, you're not doing something right. And hopefully Rodney Garner retires and builds a big home in Knoxville and never goes anywhere, because he is a big part of what this defensive coaching staff's doing on the recruiting trail and player development.
These coaches, man.
Well, I was going to say I saw multiple Auburn people being like, Rodney Garner, we got to get Rodney. Obviously, Auburn grad and was there for a really long time. Oh, he's done such an amazing job. They got
That's the wrong side. The Auburn kids are about to start coming to Knoxville. All those guys. The transfer portal is going to be fun this offseason, because a lot of people are going to want to come to Tennessee. They know what Spire Sports Group's doing. They know Tennessee's winning. It's going to be interesting to see. Last year, of course, all the stuff going on with the investigation, and then is Josh Heupel for real? What's he going to do? He's for real. We got the cash. Come to Knoxville. It's going to happen. It's going to be fun to watch.
Speaking of coaches, do you have a prediction on who Auburn hires to replace Brian Harsin down there, as he just got fired on Monday? Which is kind of funny that he got fired on Monday, because I feel like once Sunday passed and he still had his job, that he probably felt like he was safe for another week, and then they hit him with that on Monday.
Lane Kiffin. It's going to happen. Lane Kiffin to Auburn. I think he knows Ole Miss is never going to be – they're never going to be as heavily involved in that NIL game as Auburn would be. I fully expect it to be Lane Kiffin. Hugh Freeze is maybe a guy that can jump back into the SEC. I don't know. We'll see. But Lane Kiffin's who I think's out there at the top of the list. Would not surprise me at all. I saw somebody tweeted out the picture. I can't remember who tweeted it out, of Lane in the hallway in Knoxville, and said Lane Kiffin currently in the hallway in Mississippi, and it's that picture.
I mean,
would not surprise me.
Yeah, just the way he's talked about frustrations with the NIL stuff and made a lot of accusations about other programs, you know, paying players, this and that, which of course everybody does. But it does seem like he wants, not that he wants out of Oxford, he just wants in a better position somewhere.
Yeah. I think he likes what he's done with Ole Miss has been super impressive.
Yeah.
They just don't. There are levels to this game, and Ole Miss is here, and Auburn's going to be a little bit higher when it comes to NIL. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, like in terms of places to live, Auburn and Oxford, I would almost go, having been to both. Oxford, I might even prefer, but like you just can't beat the resource pool at Auburn when you talk about Ole Miss. I mean, it's not even comparable. They have the freaking CEO of Apple. That's one of their. At least it seems that he comes to the game sometimes and stuff. I think that's going to be it for this. We're running up on a half hour, so we've already taken plenty of your time, Boogie. We thank you so much for coming on with us. There we go, guys. You can the comments. We did it. You're welcome. We got Boogie on here, and this was great. Hopefully, we can keep doing this. This was awesome. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, enjoyed it, man. The Tennessee fan base is nuts. They bounce from show to show to show and say, hey, we want to see this crossover and that crossover. But yeah, come check us out, Talkin' Vols Network on YouTube. We do a fun show on Tuesday nights, late night Talkin' Vols, and it's a fan call-in show. And what other place? I was telling you guys before we jumped on here and started recording, I'm no expert, man. I'm just a regular dude that loves Tennessee football. I'm passionate. I'm emotional. I'm wrong a lot of the times. But we give the fans a voice. And every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, they come on the show. And they run the show. Imagine letting them come on and giving them your microphone and saying, go. Sometimes it gets interesting. I've had people come on without a shirt on before. It is what it is. You never know what's going to happen on Late Night Talkin' Vols. But come over, check out the channel. Promise you guys will dig it. Some people don't grasp what I'm doing. They're like, oh, you're just an idiot. You're not an expert. I'm like, I know, I say it every video. Every video I tell you I'm not an expert. You can't use my words against me, guys. For the fans, by the fans. Come check us out over at Talkin' Vols Network. You'll have a good time.
Cool. Yeah, I told you before we got on here, I'm not a big consumer of Tennessee media just because I do Tennessee media all day long. I think we all kind of feel that way if you're in it like that. But the one thing that I do listen to fairly regularly is Basilio's call-in show after games, and it's because you just get fans just calling in, just Tony, that was the best moment of what, and everything like that. So I'll have to check out your Tuesday show because
it's a celebration, or we're gonna crack a beer and drown our sorrows together. One or the other.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. That is Boogie Bentley of Talkin' Vols. Go over to his channel, check it out. We thank him so much for coming on with us, and we'll talk to everybody. We don't have anything else scheduled for the rest of the week, I don't think, Zach. So we'll talk to everybody
I don't think so.
next week.